What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a production knife from a company that I've had on this channel quite a bit, but this is something relatively new for them. This is obviously the We Knife Company logo there, and this is their newest model, the 711 Blitz. So why I say this is new for them, I mean, obviously a lot of it is not new, but this is really, as far as I can remember, their first sort of like budget offering. Not that this is necessarily like a cheap knife, but it's a lot less expensive than pretty much everything else that they have. So let's go ahead and jump into the specs before I get too far ahead of myself. We have a just about 3.4 inch blade of VG10 steel. So right away you can see VG10, not their normal blade steel. I mean, in just about every one of their knives, they're using either M390 or S35EN, primarily Bowler M390. So VG10 right away, you're going to get into the lower price range with that. Although they did a really nice job of still making the blade pop a little bit. It is, God, that focus is annoying the shit out of me. So it is still kind of that classic drop point blade shape with a kind of a simple top swedge and then a grinder satin finish on the flats. But you can see here the swedge and then the primary bevel have been black washed or PVD coated, I guess. And it is a nice hollow grind, so you're pretty thin behind the edge. This knife is an excellent slicer. You're not starting off with the thickest blade stock in the world anyway, and then with its nice hollow grind, it's extremely good slicing. So some features that you're probably used to seeing: the 3-notch pattern where the jimping on the blade spine is. That's like the We Knife signature, along with the handle here has all the same. It's G10 with a black G10 sort of overlay in the We Knife pattern. You can see here we're also looking at a new pivot screw. And finally, hurrah, hurrah, they have included Torx hardware on this instead of their proprietary hardware. So there you can see on the blade the VG10 blade steel designation. No other reading material on the blades other than that. You can see here, just kind of barely, the track that the detent ball rides when the knife is opening. You can see it is a flipper and it is a liner lock. Let's show you the lockup here. Lockup is right at about 50%. Very secure. There's no blade play side to side or back and forward, anything like that. And it is, you can see here, a nested liner as well. So as far as the handle goes, I told you it's got the G10 handle scales. It is 4.5 inches long in the handle, so overall length of, it's just shy of 8 inches. It's like 7.9, I think. This does ride on ceramic caged bearings with a ceramic detent, so you're getting that same level of flipping quality and snapping. I mean, this thing really snaps out, and it's relatively smooth closing as well. It's not drop shut like some of their knives are, but it's close. Maybe with a little bit more breaking in. I've owned this one for about a week. I ordered it the day it dropped, and been carrying it ever since. It's got a 3D milled titanium pocket clip here. I am really a fan of this pocket clip. One thing I will say, the handle scales, they're not easy in and out of the pocket. There is a whole lot of grip on these handle scales. As you can imagine, with all this raised portions there, it really is super duper grippy, which can make for difficulties in and out of the pocket. I might suggest to somebody that was going to use this as like a beater knife or like their everyday carry, maybe sand just the portion under the pocket clip notch there, just to make it a little bit easier on your pockets. So we do have relatively open construction, with maybe a 1/3 length back spacer that has also got the kind of gear pattern milled out of it. It's got a nice lanyard area there for those of you that like string hanging out of your pocket. Relatively simple construction. You can see it's just the 2 body screws and then the pivot. It's not a hidden blade stop on this one. There is just the classic blade stop, although you can't see it all that well when the knife is open. More just when the knife is closed. Fit and finish is pretty good. Centering, I'd say, is just off maybe like a millimeter or 2. You can see that towards the show side. Not enough to make me upset, but enough that I noticed it. Like I said, the flipping action is really good. Detent is fairly strong, so you're not going to have to really like build up pressure on the flipper tab before you can just kind of, and it's going to flip out really fast. What else? Relatively thin knife, so pretty easy on the pocket aside from the fabric tearing pattern on the G10 scales. But relatively, once it's in there, it's not in your way or anything. Kind of a slim profile as well. Ergonomically, just super comfortable. Nice finger groove here that still gives you room to reach that liner lock, which has also been milled out for grip. And then sort of a gentle groove here where the rest of your fingers sit. A kind of a semi thumb ramp leading into the jimping on the blade spine. So very comfortably, plenty of room for all size hands. One second. Stop drinking from that. Get. He's drinking out of disgusting pond water. Oh well. Anyways, so yeah, I pointed out already the new logo on their new pivot screw, and then having the Torx hardware. That's a pretty big deal. There are times where I've had another Wii knife and I'm like, oh, let me just real quick adjust this detent. And then you have to go searching for, if you're like me and you have a lot of knives, you have to go searching for the pouch that the tool comes in, if you hadn't already taken the tool out and lost it, like I've done with other Wii knives. It can be a headache. So joining the rest of the world with the Torx hardware on their knives, I'd say that's no small improvement. I mean, it should have been a relatively easy fix, but definitely no small improvement. So you can see that the liners are nested on both sides there, but they are full-length liners. Still relatively lightweight, 4 ounces. So really good job on keeping a full-size knife at a relatively lightweight. At a relatively lightweight. As far as like the looks go, I do like. It might be a little bit busy for some people, but I do like the general flow of this knife. Even this is kind of an abrupt line here, but other than that, I just really like the way the knife flows. Really like that back spacer. What else? That's pretty much it. I will say the VG10 is a noticeable drop in blade performance. Like I said, I've had this one for about a week and I've been cutting with it pretty much every day. Well, not every day. And it could use a strop right now. It's not as sharp as it was when it first came, so it could use a strop. Whereas with their other blade steels, their M390 and their S35EN, I've yet to have to sharpen or strop one of those. And they've probably seen the same amount of use as this one. So it's a noticeable, for those of you that use your knives every day, it's a noticeable hit as far as performance. But I mean, these are brand new from all the big knife purveyors for $100, which is coming in at well under half the cost of their other big offerings. You know, you see WE knives anywhere from like the $250 to the, you know, $350 range. So it's nice for those of you that have wanted to try the quality that WE offers without the super duper prices. I mean, $100 obviously still pricey, but for a high level production knife, I just spent over $100 on the new Benchmade that I still have to review, and I barely can tolerate putting that thing in my pocket. Whereas this thing is an absolute joy to carry, and it was less expensive. So it's a high level production knife. Obviously not, you know, we're not talking about super high level like their other stuff, but that's more of a material cost than this is. You're working with G10, which is relatively easy, nested stainless steel liners, a less expensive and more widely available VG10 blade steel. Yeah, there's just, this one was probably quite a bit easier for them to manufacture. So, oh, there's also some jimping on the flipper tab I forgot to mention. But anyways, yeah, that's going to wrap this review up. I'd say it's absolutely worth the $100. Absolutely. You can find, obviously, some Kaisers with better blade steel for less money. This thing, though, the flipping action, I'd say makes up for it 100%. And it's not like the VG10 is all that bad anyway. I mean, it's still a great blade steel, but you just might have to strop it a little more often. Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for my review of the WE Knives Blitz, or 711. Stay tuned. I have so many knives that I have to review, but it's still, summer still seems to be hanging on well into September here in Pennsylvania. Not that it's like as crazy as it was in the middle of the summer, but it's like even buggier now, so it's kind of hard for me to get the motivation to do these when I'm constantly swatting gnats out of my mouth and eyes. So, but enough of the excuses, more reviews, right? All right, guys, take it easy. Stay tuned.